Hello and welcome to 1973 GMC Motorhome, episode 20. We got 9 days left and we got a few more things to do before this thing goes on its maiden voyage. What we're doing this evening is I've ripped out this old carpet and I'm going to cut the new carpet and hopefully have the new carpet in before it gets dark. So that's goal number one, carpet up front. Once carpet's done, that's one thing that needs to be done. Then I have to put this whole dinette back in, which will need rebuilding and painting, although I'll use it dirty on this trip if we have to, but I want it in there. Number three is to build the platform for our bed. So that's three things to do. Number four is put our stove in, which I still don't have yet. I've been chasing people around on Facebook Marketplace and they kind of disappear and very hard. And then number five is put that back together and put the new toilet in. Number six is to put my new Thetford valve on my black tank. And then number seven is to finish my wiring where I run 12 volts back from my battery directly to under here and then to a transfer switch and blah blah blah. So I got electric. What is that, 7 things? So now let's get started on this carpet. I've laid out the old carpet on this remnant and it looks like I will be able to go partially down the stairs and then I'll have to piece together pieces for the stairs. Or I might want to wrap probably better off wrapping the bottom of the chairs and then figuring out something else for the stairs. Anyway, this is what we're doing right now. Okay, there's my floor up there. I'm not showing you down below the carpet because that's a giant mess at the moment. And the spot on the right-hand chair to the left, I still got to cover that. But that right there is a flap that'll open up and expose a little hidey hole in there. So that's kind of a neat area. So that's what that is. Okay, bathroom's all back together, and we got a new Dometic toilet. And what I did is I got this type of toilet. Step on that, water comes out, flushes, and this will just go directly into the black tank, and that's the end of that. Rather than swirling around pee in blue water, and inevitably somebody's kid always comes and poops in your toilet, and then you're swirling around pee and poo until you still have to drop it into your black tank and still need to empty it. So there we go. So now bathroom is done. And it just occurred to me, I don't know how to turn that shower on. But, Alright, well that'll be a mystery that we'll have to figure out later. Alright, here's a light I put up here. Let's see, we got blue, yellow, muted, that color. Anyway, you keep going and going. And then you hold that. Oh, that dims it. If you want a dim light for the night. Make it bright again. And this you hold to shut off. There we go. Okay. A couple of things this morning. We're gonna put this line back on here. This just somebody put in here to view our water tank level from outside. We're going to fill this water tank up and hopefully it's not leaking from that. Well, it looks like it could be. Guess we're going to find out. Looks like the water's about to here.
So we'll figure that out. And also, we're gonna run our line in the back of the positive and negative from that, which is coming off our battery, into this area in here, and we're going to use a transfer switch so we can use our solar battery for our 12-volt stuff if we want to, as opposed to the front house battery. So my sending unit's leaking, which I guess I could have easily seen by the streaks. So we're going to take that sending unit out, and not right this second, but that's got to get replaced, or at least the gasket. Okay, so I'm going to put in my new blade type fuse block too while I'm doing all this. And I've got this type of connector. But there's a painstaking process where you can turn it into this type of connector. So I'm going to do that to all of them. It just involves unfolding these, fold this back, and then break it off, and then you got that. Now, the last thing we'll do is we'll widen these just a hair, and then we'll plug everything back in. Okay, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The good news is, so that white and that black come all the way through to here. And we've got our white going into this switch. Now, even though it's coming on this side, number 1 is from our solar battery. Everything goes to ground, the other side, which is grounded to the chassis. So here's what's happening here. First of all, I replaced the glass fuse block with a bladed fuse block. That is huge. Second, I put this new converter in here, charger, that is dead quiet, makes 0 noise. So when I switch over to 2, then that's the original coach battery, and this system works just like it used to work. When I plug this into here, this is I've got shore power. This is charging that battery, so I can operate all my 12-volt stuff on that. Now, when I'm out on the road and I switch it over to 1, now I'm using my 400 watts of solar and my 230 watt lithium battery. Here's my solar charge controller. So right now we're not plugged into shore power. This is off. We're not using any of the batteries up front. And what's nice about this is here is the line that's coming from the battery up front, which also is hooked up to the alternator. Or when you run the alternator, you're running. So we don't want to have this on when the alternator is running, obviously. But basically, if this was unplugged, the alternator is still charging the battery. This is going to the back of that so that it's feeding the battery and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it all works. So this is done. So this is good. Now, I just heard the refrigerator kick off. Now, the question, I wonder, well, let's see if the power light's still on. It is. So that means that just cycled off. So my refrigerator is taking a break. It's nice and freezing cold. We didn't make ice yet, but that's very cold. So the refrigerator has now reached temperature 3, and it is off. Yep, it's nice and cool in there. So that's operating on 12 volts. So I'm going to let this refrigerator run for the next 2 days on solar power, and just see if the solar power keeps the charge of the battery up. Now, in the 1 step back, I removed the sending unit to discover that in fact there are cracks down here. I can feel it. It's cracked. So I guess I'm gonna go buy a new water tank. Yay! But
You know, whatever. So that's one less thing that I'll have to mess with, and I'll get a new tank and sending unit. So I'm going to measure this and then head to work. Okay, there's that hum of the refrigerator. So today I left at noon and left the refrigerator running. It's running on our solar now. So that's frozen. Froze that solid. So the refrigerator works fine. It's definitely noisy, but whatever. Maybe I'll replace it later. Oh, look at this. Michelle made a cool window covering there. So that's neat. I saw she was painting the... Look at that messy garage. That'll be a whole nother video. Anyway, we're going to see how many days this refrigerator will run, and if the solar charges the battery up enough to keep it running inevitably, at least during the summer on sunny days. Okay, now we're going to put the stove in. So fortunately the old opening is 20 inches wide. And I've run this line up from there. I'm going to go run the depth out, measure that, and also we need to notch out the front of the counter to this width so this can slide back. So I need to think about what's going on with that, because the front face of the counter is not flush with the cabinet, so we need to come out from here to here. Anyway, let's measure it and work figure it out. All right, so this is a one-shot deal. It's got to be right. So I've measured about 4 times. I got my reverse cut blade on here so we don't rip this shit up. And yeah, so we're gonna cut it, and then when that's done, then we're gonna cut out this so it's flush with the front of this so the stove can slide all the way in. Then the only question is gonna be, because this countertop is slightly lower than the stock one, where is that going to end up on the bottom there? And I guess I should measure the top of this to the bottom now and just get an idea whether it's going to be close. It should be. So there's my hole. This is what I'm talking about to have the stove slide in there. We'll see what that looks like, but I think it should be okay. Anyway, I got to get this wire through here and down there and into there so I can tie it to that separate stove feed, because that's for that fan. Okay, there's the stove in. Fit pretty nicely. So I'll turn that on. Also got that wire out of the ceiling. We're tied in over there to the circuit with the it'll also be the same circuit as the vent fan and the light over there, so maybe we won't run both fans at the same time. Let's fire the stove up. So this works great, and what I like about it is there's no pilot light going, so you just stick one of those long lighters in there and you light it, and that's that. It's very simple. There's nothing electric, nothing really. We just got gas going to it, and when I shut it off, the gas is off. There's no you know, with a pilot light, I guess you're just burning gas all the time, which just isn't necessary. And this burner really cranks, but it works great. So I'm very happy with this Wedgwood stove. That's our little kitchen there. Now Michelle's going to put some tile back there, so that'll look nice. And we've got our floor all done now and up there, so we're really getting close. So tomorrow we're going to start working on the jackknife sofa that's going to go there, and then we'll have to put in our dinette. So we have jackknife sofa, dinette, and then I still need to put the valve on the black tank. It's getting late, my brain's not working. Black tank valve. There's one wheel bearing where I got to tighten the nut up one turn, Oh, and I got to install my water tank, my new water tank that I got. I think that's it. So we got sofa, table, valve, water tank, and that might be it. And the little wheel bearing thing, and I think we'll be ready to go. And boy, I tell you what, this stove running like this is putting a lot of heat into the air. You know, even though my furnace isn't working, I mean, this is a lot of heat. So I would imagine, now you don't want to run this thing and asphyxiate yourself, but you know, if it's cold in the morning, you want to toast yourself up real quick. That's a quick way to do it. And furnace will get done at some point, but not before this trip. Lastly, the refrigerator has been running over 24 hours now. It cycles on and off. And if we go in here, we got 13.3 volt, 100% of the battery. So the solar it's tons of juice. All right, well, so that's how I ended up doing the stairs. I ran some flooring up vertically, put a piece of cord around in there, and then on the top we use these things here. I put these little pulley things here to open that up, and I'll probably get a piece of carpet that'll just go over that whole thing. Anyway, it looking good. So now we got stove, we got water tank this afternoon, which was our extra. We have put that cabinet back up there. Still more stuff to do. Okay, so this tank has that angle on it. This is my new tank, a little smaller. We're going to put this insulation on the bottom, of course, up to here, and then I'll cut that angle, and then we'll mount this tank, and then we'll have some insulation under the bottom of it at least, and then we can do the rest of it at some other point. All right, I'm spraying adhesive on this and on that. We're going to let it sit for a minute, then we're going to stick it. It's going to have a big chunk of polystyrene. Now, somehow I got to uniformly cut that all the way through, so that's going to be interesting. Okay, I started the cut with my circular saw, ran a line all the way down here. We've got a nice new blade on our Sawzall. Let's see how this works. Okay, so far it's working. I just keep moving my clamp down and sawing. Pretty good. You definitely need one of these long blades. Okay, looks good. Nice and flat. I didn't got a little foobar, but it's fine. I'm gonna put get my tank prepared and put my giant zip ties on those and strap this thing in. All right, there's my piece. That's been squirted with goo. This has been squirted with goo. We're gonna let this sit for a minute, and then we're gonna stick this on here, so that way I don't have to take my tank out anymore to insulate. Okay, so I've got my water out there. That's gonna be my vent. This is a plug. That's my fill. It's on the other side. There's my new fill tube. So let's grab some of those super long strappies and strap this sucker in. Okay, we got a nice clean installation here. Got a little bit of foam there. We'll put some back there at some point. We're strapped in. I'm not going to put this cover back on because I'm waiting for my sending unit, which is going to go right here. We got our fill, and then our breather / overflow, which will go out to where we fill, so we can see when we're filling, when water starts coming out that black hose, then we know we're full. And there's our fill. This pulls out. I mean, it's going to be definitely a bit of a pain in the ass, but you know what, whatever. I got it as high as I could. And then there's our black line coming out. It comes around and then goes boink out there. So that's what's happening there. So now I'm gonna put some water in this thing. All right. There's our water filling. So we've got gravity going the right way. That's good. Nothing's leaking there yet. Well, I shouldn't say yet because it shouldn't.
So we'll let that fill for a while.
I don't have the water super blasting because I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to squirt out, but it looks like it's doing okay.
There's new valve. We come all the way down here, and then we've got these connections this way, that way, and this thing is not going anywhere. Okay, so we got a little bit of today, Saturday, a little bit of tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're gonna take this back out of here and cut that down to the same size as that. And then we're gonna go ahead and finish it. We're gonna replace the cabinet screws with the smaller head screws. I'm gonna go around and sand it and paint it. So, and we're gonna put our, first thing we're gonna do though is we're gonna put our our water sensor in here. Okay, there's my 1.5" hole saw bit. There's my 1.5" hole. Here's my Amazon $29 10.5" sending unit. Whoops, I gotta put the gasket in there. Okay, now let's orient it that way. I'm gonna put some screws in that thing. All right, so now I'm making my bench bracket, and I got my duct running through there on both sides. So I'm gonna cover the top of that. We're gonna make this a little bit bigger here and put our vent there, and then we can mount our couch. It'll actually mount to the top of the stairs and then through this piece here. Then have storage underneath. Okay, here's the back room. Got our lights in there. Very cozy. We can sit in here, and what you can see is that we've got our dinette installed and we've got our jackknife bed installed. I gotta get something to mount this table, finish up this area, and we're just gonna make it in time, I think. This does not include a test drive yet, but we will do that. Look at this. There's our dinette. Our table put back in properly. When the previous owner had put the rise up under there, that table never sat right. Now it's back in. All those brackets under there, there's aluminum behind there that they screw into, so everything is now very sturdy. And we are really close here. Okay, so lots of progress made. We're almost ready to go. We got 3 days left. Pretty much everything is done that needs to be done. There's a couple extra interior things. Now obviously, we'll be needing to doing some touch-up paint and stuff like that. We're gonna hang this cabinet today. Michelle's gonna finish with these stick-on tiles. The rear brakes are dragging, so I'm going to be sorting that out today, and I've either got a bad line. This is what this bed looks like, by the way, when it's assembled. On a positive note, here's our bed back here. That's nice.
Anyway, so we're going to sort out these brake lines. It's either a clog in the line, my parking brake cable is too tight, but it's all 4 brakes, so it's kind of weird. And I step on the brakes and they take a minute to release. The rear brakes take a second to release, so I'm thinking that it's either the master cylinder, but it's only the rear brakes, or it's a line, the hard line, so I might have to replace that. Anyway, whatever it is, we're going to figure it out, and we're going to be heading out of here in 2 or 3 days. Well, I guess we're going to head out of here in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, so that's what it's going to be. So anyway, we'll let you know what that was, and next episode is going to be the answer to the brake question and the road trip. So we'll see you soon.